Well, for the first time, this year's Republican platform promises to repeal an IRS law that revokes a church's tax-exempt status if it engages in any political activity. Well, the IRS provision wasn't well known until Donald Trump began talking about it. One America's John Hines has more from Washington.
Back when he was Majority Leader of the U.S. Senate, Lyndon Johnson was able to get passed a law to make sure that churches would lose their tax-exempt status if they engaged in politics. But not many people had heard of the law until Donald Trump started talking about it.
We call it the Johnson Amendment, where you are just absolutely shunned if you're evangelical, if you want to talk religion. You lose your tax-exempt status. We put into the platform, we're going to get rid of that horrible Johnson Amendment.
The idea of repealing the Johnson Amendment arose after Trump's conversations with evangelical leaders, says Jay Richards, executive editor of the conservative news and commentary site, thestream.org.
Donald Trump has made a big deal of the Johnson Amendment, and I think part of it has to do with the religious leaders that he's talked to. He has engaged, especially with a lot of well-known evangelical leaders, and many of them reported to him the problem with the Johnson Amendment.
Richards explains that Trump's trumpeting of the issue is unusual.
And so he's made it sort of the centerpiece of his campaign in defense of religious liberty, which I think is very interesting. I think he's the first major candidate to make what is in some ways an obscure law having to do with tax code actually sort of part of his explicit platform.
And because of Trump, it may gain more interest in Congress, says Walter Jones, sponsor of a bill to repeal the Johnson Amendment.
I've been very disappointed that my party, meaning Republican, which I'm a Republican and a conservative and a Christian, has not taken this up. But it's my hopeful that with Donald Trump taking this position, that as he moves around over the next couple of months, he'll continue to talk about this because, again, this really isn't a Republican or a Democratic issue. This is an issue of freedom of speech.
One reason Congress may not have acted before is that the Johnson Amendment prevents political involvement by church groups on both sides of the aisle, thus providing cover for both liberals and conservatives. But as with many other political issues in this campaign, Donald Trump has proven to be a change agent who relishes upsetting the apple cart. John Hines, One America News, Washington.